Okay, so before I start, I just want to ask you guys, how many of you have failed in something in your life before? Can you raise your hand? Okay, that's like almost everyone. Okay, just keep your hands up, keep your hands up. Don't be so lazy. How many of you guys have failed in an exam before? Okay, that's good, that's good, that's good, that's good. And how many of you guys have failed in a startup before? Startup or a business? I mean, it's the same shit. Okay. All right. So before I talk about my failures, I want to talk a little bit about, I want to tell you a story. So this is how my story begins. So do you guys know what this is? Yeah, it's a Malaysian taxi meter. Okay, how many of you have been conned by Malaysian taxi drivers? All right, all right, all right. Cool. Oh, me too, okay. So that's everybody. So what happened was one day, me and my wife, we were going to go to IKEA. By the way, I'm not from Malaysia, so I don't speak Malay. I'm from Maldives. So we were going to go to IKEA and we got into this taxi and the driver had a rigged meter. So, and it was raining, so there was no option. We just had to go along with it. So the meter was like spinning like a hamster on a wheel. It's like, the taxi was stopped, but meter keep spinning. So I asked the driver, dude, what's wrong with your meter? He said, nothing's wrong with my meter. So at the end of the trip, I had to pay twice the amount I usually pay. So I, of course, knew something was wrong with the meter. And I was sitting in the taxi and thinking, maybe there was a way I can try to fix this problem. So I started thinking how I can build an app or some website or something where people can get good taxis in Malaysia. So I went to a hackathon called Hack Weekend a couple of weeks after that. Do you guys know what hackathon is? Okay. So I went there and I built an app called Taxi Watch, and it actually won the hackathon. So this is me getting the candy for winning the hackathon. All right, so I won the hackathon, and then what happened was I met my co-founder, Nizran, and we went on to start TaxiMonger. So actually the first version of TaxiMonger was built in this hackathon. So we started TaxiMonger, and we were actually, so this is TaxiMonger. I think you guys already know what it is, right? It's an app to book taxis, and the taxi drivers, nearby taxi drivers see that there's a customer who is looking for a taxi, and then they will say that, they just press a button and the customer gets notified that this driver will come and pick you up. So that's the basic idea. So we started the TaxiMonger, and we got into an accelerator in Dubai called Seed Startup. It's a partner of Techstars. Do you guys know what Techstars is? Okay. Have you guys heard of SendGrid? Okay. Anyway, so Techstars is like an incubator where they bring startups in and they mentor those startups, and they give funding and all those things. So we were actually mentored by executives from Google and Zynga in this program. So after that, we came back to Malaysia and we continued TaxiMonger, and of course we got a lot of praise and we are doing quite okay, and we got featured in TechCrunch quite recently. Come on, clap people. And we got featured in some other Malaysian and some other regional press, and also we won the Best of Tourism and Hospitality in Malaysia, the Apicta Awards. And also we won the Open Web Asia Top 10 Apps in Asia, the whole Asia last year. Okay, so this is sort of my success, but I want to focus this talk about my failures. So before you guys, when you guys go back tonight, just on your way, you can maybe have a look at the UMNO building. There is a huge building. You might be able to see TaxiMonger at there. Yeah, but don't watch and drive, you might crash into something. Okay, so can you guys guess how many times I actually failed before I started TaxiMonger? Guess. Holy shit, 72? I'm not that old yet, dude. Okay, so I actually failed 7 times. I mean, 7 startups I started before. So I'm just going to go through my startups and tell you guys the lessons that I have learned from those startups. Okay, so the first one I started when I was at the year of 10. Can you guys guess who is me in this picture? Well, it's this guy. I think none of you guessed, okay. So me and my cousin who's next to me, we started a newspaper. It's a handwritten newspaper which we write, and we write 2 copies every week of the same thing, and we rent it to the neighbors. So they pay 50 cents in our currency, in Maldivian currency, and then they borrow the newspaper, and then they, after reading, they give it back to us. So it was quite a good business. I mean, we were 10 years old. Come on, people. So what happened was our neighbor's kid also decided to start a newspaper. He saw that our newspaper business is going quite good. We are generating quite a cash, so he started a newspaper. And the following day, our office got broken in, which is my room. And he stole our glue bottles, magazines which we cut pictures from, scissors and everything. So we got bankrupt. Okay. So the lesson I learned from this startup is don't underestimate your competitors. Yeah. Even though they're really small, they can still screw you up. Okay. So then a couple of years after that, well, I think it's about 15, 16 years after that. Well, not 15, say 12, I think. After that, I started a startup. It's a project, actually, called MV Hackers. So basically what this does is it allows people to come to this website and teach themselves web security. So we have these mock websites where people can try to hack in, and if they do, they get points. So it's like a game. So what happened was we were running this website, and then me and a bunch of my friends, we were running this, and we decided that we wanted to stop it. So we just shut down the site. We didn't even tell the people, oh, we're shutting down this site or anything. So a couple of years after that, actually the website was called mvhackers.org, O-R-G. MV stands for Maldives. So what happened was a couple of years after that, some guys got the same domain name, and they started DDoSing our ISP. Do you guys know what DDoS is? No? Okay. So DDoS is basically what happens in this picture. You take control of a bunch of computers, and you send bogus traffic to a specific computer, and the specific computer goes down. So they started doing this to our ISP, and our ISP was down for like a week. And this is quite a big deal because the ISP controls 80% of the internet in the country. So authorities got involved, and what happened was one day I had a knock on my door, and there was police. Yeah, so they came in, they took my laptops, everything. They put me in handcuffs and took me to the holding. Yeah, it wasn't a good experience, yeah. So what happened was, of course, they didn't find anything in my computers linking me to that because I didn't do anything. So yeah, so I learned a really good lesson from this startup that make sure you communicate to your users what you're doing. Don't just shut down your thing and hope that everything works out. It can come back and bite you in the ass like this. Yep. Next, I started another company called Geeks Company. So what we did was, me and my buddy, we created websites for clients, which is sort of like a web agency. So we went on to create some cool websites and things, and then what happened was, even though all our partners had equal shares in the company, not everybody had equal, input into the company. So this happened. We had a couple of arguments, and so we decided to part ways, and we closed the company. And then we started a company called T-shirts. So it does basically what it does, it just prints cool T-shirts. But the problem was we all love, I love wearing cool T-shirts, but when it comes to printing and shipping these things manually, it's a lot of work. And me being a geek, I don't like doing this kind of manual work. So we became lazy. And then it just went downhill from there onwards. We actually got acquired by another company for about 20% of what we invested in. So that was a really bad deal, but still. And they shut it down. So the lesson I learned from here is if you're running a startup, you have to be ready to get down and dirty. Like no matter what it is, even if you don't like doing it, you have to be ready to do that. And the next one I started was called Rastas. It's a startup. Basically what it does is it allows you to send top-ups to your phone really easily using PayPal. And this actually got interest from one of the telcos in Maldives. And I had a couple of meetings and we decided, they wanted to acquire it. So we signed an NDA and they asked me for the source code to do an audit. So I gave them the source code, being the genius. And what happened was I never heard from them. So a couple of months later, I heard from one of the employees there that they're building it in-house. Okay. So that was the story. So the lesson I learned from here is that make sure you keep your head straight. No matter, even if you're doing a deal with Google or Facebook or whoever, just keep your head straight. And then I started a startup called Molv. So what it does is it live streams videos from your cell phone to the web. So if there is something happening, you can just take your phone and point it. It will live stream to the web. And this actually went on to participate in a competition that was held by Mashable. Do you guys know what Mashable.com is? You guys know, right? And, and it actually won the 4th among 800 companies. So that was quite a big deal for me. I'm a dude from Maldives who doesn't know anything. Okay, but what happened was I spent like all my savings and all my effort building this application, and when it was time to go to the next step, like after building you have to do marketing, sales, and meeting with people, I had no idea what I was doing. Of course, when I went to these VC meetings, they were asking, what's your ROI, what's your exit strategy? I was like, what the hell? Okay, so the lesson I learned with this startup is beginning is just the half of it. The other half is the more difficult part, I think. It's marketing, sales, how you're going to do everything. So, all right. So the next startup I started was called Off to Travel. So what it allows is, as you guys know, Maldives is a very expensive destination to go to. So what me and my buddy wanted to do was we wanted to allow people to visit Maldives, to have their vacation in Maldives really cheap for a really cheap price. So it was sort of like a deals website to travel to Maldives. And we spent 6 months building this. And at the end, both of us were really tired. And we were like, we're not even going to launch this. Because we sort of lost focus on it. So the lesson we learned is we shouldn't spend too much time building an app. It has to be really fast. You build a crappy app, you ship it, and then you innovate on it. So that was all my failed startups. So I just want to summarize what I have talked about. I went through so many slides you guys might have forgotten. So the first one is don't underestimate your competitors. Yeah, they can screw you up. Yeah. And communicate clearly with your users. If your site is going to be down or if your app is going to be down for even 1 minute or 1 hour, just tell your users it's going to be down. Make sure you communicate really clearly with your users. And third one is find co-founders who are in sync with you and set the expectations from the beginning. So set the expectations and write it on paper. So everybody understands what their role is and everything. And the fourth one is keep your head straight no matter what. So when you're doing deals with partners or you're talking to a possible acquirer, or just keep your head straight. Don't get sidetracked. And the fifth one is be prepared to get down and dirty. So if you're a CEO of a startup, be prepared to go onto the street and distribute flyers for asking people to join your startup. So it's like you have to be prepared to do whatever is necessary to make your startup success. And the sixth one is you have to ship fast. So ship really fast, build your product, ship it fast, and then keep iterating on it. And the second one is launching is just the half of it. So launching is just the half. So there is the other half that you have to make sure it works. Yeah, make sure it works and do the proper marketing and everything. And I actually want to end my presentation with this quote. If any of you guys, whether any of you guys are planning to start a startup here? Nobody? Really? I'm doing that bad of a job? So in a startup, there are no good days or bad days like in a normal job. In a normal job, you have good days and bad days. But in a startup, there are days that things are going really, really good. Over there, just days things are going really, really bad. Okay, so that's the end of my talk. So if any of you guys want to keep in touch with me,